I've been deprived of editing for 16 days, and apparently that's long enough to make me bad at saying sentences. Okay, anyways, welcome back to Breaking News to Me, where I make my personal pains your entertainment. So today we're talking about episode 9, Deal, and episode 10, Deal. They're different, I promise. We're on double digits, people, and I would have posted the second part of the episode sooner, but unfortunately, things happened to me. I know, it's so sad. Your favorite, this video is probably going to get 2 likes, video creator had things happen to her. Now, because these episodes are meant to be watched in conjunction with each other as 2 parts, hence the earlier-ish release, I'll be covering them as 1 episode. Let's begin. It's time to talk writing. Ignore the irony, it's not on purpose this time. And I'm pretty sure I made that joke before. Anyways, episode 9 begins with Kai and Jeon talking about their plans for that night. During the conversation, Kai drops a sick burn. Kai says, "Since whenever, it's none of your concern." This line mixes immaturity and maturity with the somewhat childish "since whenever." It's an indirect answer, and the second half of it is more of a polite way of saying, "None of your business." It's essentially, "Whatever, it's none of your business, Mom." And I just thought it was interesting because I see it as Kai still trying to seem mature, but really just wanting to not be mature. Also during this conversation, we can see that Kai doesn't refer to the dinner as a company dinner and only does so in front of Venus. This is because he's a coward. Sorry, what was I saying? In this scene, but also in general throughout the episode, we see Kai in a far more casual light, akin to the episode 7, A Break from Business. In comparison to the start of the series, Kai uses far more casual language, and now he does so even with Venus. At dinner, we're greeted with various playful interactions and discover that teasing Kai seems to be a top activity. And we also meet Jin. Her full name is Jin Rose Oh, and she's the first News to Me character to have a middle name. When reading Venus's email, we can sense that it's not quite professional. It's not horrible, but it is quite casual for a resume submission. And this is not because I don't know how to write an email. I got your kind regards, your dear name, your please do not hesitate to contact me. I have people that can vouch for my email writing skills. Ha! Probably. Okay, well, enough defending myself for something nobody accused me of except for myself. Back to Venus. We can see that this is essentially her best attempt of walking that awkward line of, "I'm doing this for work, but I also literally just saw you at dinner, bro." And also probably never having sent a formal email before in her life, she's likely not that aware of the standard components. Also, I just think that Venus is definitely the type of person to say, "Yours truly," instead of "sincerely" or something. It's very, "I'm here, and I know you're glad about it. Good for you, Venus." Confidence. At least it seems like it. We should use sign-offs more because it's so fun. My personal favorite to use, obviously not for formal stuff because that's when I have to be a normal, boring person, is "unfortunately, Vinish." I think it's funny. I also think that regards in an email instead of kind regards is very passive-aggressive. What are you regarding? Are you regarding anger? Alright, enough side tangents. And yes, the sign-off from the last Breaking News to Me was indeed foreshadowing. Although it was originally unintentional, but it worked out, so, yeah. Also, we've come full circle with the whole deal situation. I can't confuse you more than I already have. Anyways, Kai repeats the phrase, "deal," which has been repeated throughout the whole 2 episodes over and over, while staring at his computer in the dark for cinematic main character purposes and totally not because he's sad and alone. I need to stop bullying my OCs. But I won't. Okay, let's talk visuals. So here's some visual fun facts. Kai has 2 idol faces, because he's the only character to not have a resting smiling face so far. I needed to make one for him specifically, and I also think that he's the first one to have a blush. Speaking of smiling, you might remember Kai's first smile appearance was in episode 3, Two Fish in a Pond, in a special scene. Or maybe you don't, if you're not insane. And from episode 7 onwards, we see Kai smiling on a more regular basis. Kai smiles in the car with Venus. Ignore how pixely it is, stuff is hard, and I gotta fix it by overwriting the 700 files with new ones again. A few times in the restaurant, in the lobby, and finally when he's alone at his computer. He's really making up for all the missed smiles. Anywho, on top of being the first one with the middle name, Jin is also the first character to have moving eye sparkles. I would call it what it actually is, but that does not make sense to the average person. Extra voiceover here to say, wow, that sounds really pretentious, Danish. One time my friend said that something was rigged, and I thought they were talking about animation. Please help me. It's time to talk a little bit about color. So, of course, the restaurant has a very warm and slightly rustic feel. I just felt like it needed to be inviting. Something you'll notice is that most places that are centered around Kai are usually quite blue, like his office and house desk. As I've said before, blue is a very relaxed color and can symbolize calmness, but also sadness. And you'll notice when Kai is around other people, there's always a warmness in the color somewhere. At dinner, I just wanted to point out this nudge scene because I went out of my way to animate this pain. So the Emerald Homes lobby has also been redrawn, and that's a full circle thing now because we're on double digits and we're essentially starting a new arc. Now, I'm sure you've noticed we have a new intro and outro, and I have absolutely jammed the outro full of symbolism, so let's talk about it. We start with a rose. So the meaning that roses have to me is a peculiar one. I'm sure it's common knowledge that red roses symbolize love and are seen as romantic, but I want to go over why I think roses are so fitting to symbolize love. Roses are a beautiful flower. They have soft and delicate petals. However, they have thorns. If you go about picking a rose wrong, you're bound to be pricked. That is to say the same with love. Love is beautiful and delicate, however it has dangers. If you go about love wrong, you're bound to be hurt. I also admire the resilience of roses. You could say that it grew the thorns to defend itself, but it might be interesting to think that it grew despite the thorns, which says that even amongst cruelty, beauty grows. So we see Venus's hand holding a rose, fully embracing the thorns as well. Her hand is facing upwards, meaning she's looking up and moving on. Beside her hand, we see rubies. Rubies symbolize health, wealth, wisdom, and success in love. They are also a symbol of passion, making it quite romantic, as you'd expect from a red-colored stone. In this case, I really mean to focus on the love side of the symbolism. She has 3 rubies, 1 to symbolize herself and 2 for her parents, which means her parents no longer have those rubies, saying that her parents no longer have love. Well, yikes. Also, Venus's hand is on a light, almost white-colored background. As you'd expect, white symbolizes purity and innocence. The white background is then stained with red, which is to say that her innocence is stained and not pure because of the bloodshed her parents created. We then see Kai's hand. On Kai's side, it's raining, just like when he visited Lance's grave. His hand is holding a dead sunflower. As you might recall, sunflowers are very well known for symbolizing optimism, positivity, happiness, and things along that line. By killing it, we've killed that meaning too. Brutal, I know. And as you can guess, the sunflower represents Lance in this case. Kai is holding his hand downwards as well, which is to say the opposite of what Venus says. Things are looking down and he's yet to move on. And focusing on his hand one more time, we see that he has a ruby cufflink. The same symbolism from before applies. Speaking of rubies, Kai has 2. I wonder what he's doing with the other one if one symbolizes himself. Kai also has a pen, but that's more of an Easter egg to be revealed at a later date rather than symbolism. And finally, not for the whole outro, but for this part, his watch. His watch does indeed move by the second for the time it's on screen, and it moves counterclockwise. Why? Okay, I had more points for this when I first did it, but I can't find the site anymore, so it probably wasn't very legit anyways, but it was something about wanting acceptance and love in your life if you saw it in a dream, but this is my interpretation of why it's going counterclockwise. Basically, I think of it as like, he's not really getting anywhere, he feels stuck in the past, which is a very obvious interpretation, but it works well. Okay, anyways, I filled this with far too much stuff. We still have like 2 more segments. Speed run, go! We have a magnifying glass that represents Detective Selena. I forgot I've been using objects to represent characters, so I'll tell you that now. Then we have a stone that I animated for about 2 seconds of screen time that isn't even noticeable, and its appetite, and it symbolizes deceit because the name of the stone is derived from a Greek word, apate, meaning deceit. And then we have a road. It's on a road, which is like how Venus's grandparents died. Okay, next segment. So we've met Jin, now let's talk about her specifically. There are 2 places where the name Jin can be derived from. The first is Chinese origin. In this origin, it means bright and beautiful and or gold. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing the specific character for it correctly though. I assume the meaning depends on the character used for it as well. This is typically a surname rather than the first name in China. The name dates back 4,000 years and has an interesting history to it. I believe this name/character got its meaning from its legend displayed here. The Yellow Emperor's son, Yi Qi, or Xiahao, eventually succeeded him. On the day the Emperor's son was appointed as a leader, a gold phoenix flew down from a house and sat exactly opposite of where he sat. It was seen as an auspicious beginning by his followers, and they decided to use gold as their tribe's emblem. And Yi Qi was retitled Xiantanxi, meaning golden skies by his people. Please excuse any incorrect pronunciation. I'm not fantastic at it, but I figured I should at least try. But isn't that neat? Look at how much history is literally in one name. And this is just from very, very light research. In Korea, the name could mean truth or jewel, and it's said that the earliest figures of the surname can be dated back to the Korean kingdom of Baekje and Shira. Other figures include the early Chinese who immigrated to Korea during the era of Goryeo dynasty. Now, her middle name, obviously Rose. What more do you want from me, people? It just fit her. I see pink hair, I go, oh, flower, okay? Okay, last name. O is a common surname throughout Korea, and the Japanese romanization of O King. The Japanese pronunciation of the Chinese surname Wang, it is mostly borne by Japanese of Chinese descent or the Chinese long-term residents in Japan. Okay, we're gonna speed through this part a bit because I just did all that history for the first name, but there's kind of a lot for this name too. The earliest ancestors of the Korean O family is believed to be O from Shira, which you'll notice was mentioned earlier as well, and the son of O Chimon, known to be a Chinese royal descendant, and the son of O Chimon, known to be the Chinese royal descendant who immigrated from China to Korea. Fantastic, we've done our history lesson and probably butchered a lot of names, which I am also very sorry for, but you gotta keep in mind English is my first language and I can barely speak that. Now we get to talk about design. So when I was designing Jin, I knew I wanted her to have this very preppy, put-together look, but I wasn't quite sure what I was doing with her colors. One thing was absolutely certain though, she had pink hair. Why? Frankly, there is no solid reason, she just struck me strongly as someone who had pink hair. Because she wears a vest, I was thinking of a sort of retro print would suit her, and then it hit me. Fruit. Immediately I was like, oh, she is so wearing peaches. Also, the most bizarre thing happened to me pretty much the day after I drew her outfit. I saw this candle in a shop, and trust me, despite how blurry this photo is, it looks so similar to the print on her vest. For the print on her vest, there's a little letter D in it. Hello, it's me once again on a different recording date. I regret to inform you that due to my fantastical planning skills, this breaking news to me has been split into 2 parts. Again, I'm so good at planning. There's another like 13 minutes in the next half. Okay, thank you for watching. This is too long for Easter eggs. See you next time. Bye!